Can can I ask who is called in 5136?
Is that where the TV or whatever's coming from?
It looks like that might be coming from Tom.
Oh.
You're kidding. There's not a TV in this room.
There's not? Huh. Well, you got a purple circle around you. There's Gerard.
Well, that's the Angels.
I'm gonna go get a drink while we still got a couple minutes.
Look, I'm here. Can you still hear on TV?
Yeah, I can hear something.
Well, I can't hear it now.
TV or radio or something. Well, maybe it's at my house.
I didn't mean to call you out, Tom. That purple circle is what is normally how you tell.
Purple circle. Oh, the talking one?
Yes, sir. If you click up top, and it'll show you a list of participants, and you can see who's talking when.
Well, that's weird. I said the TV is in another room. my son's listening to, what is that, Percy Jackson, chapter 17, 18 tonight. Quiz tomorrow.
There we go.
There's the purple circle. Who's Gerard?
Is that Richard? Is that Richard who just called in?
Hello, Davis. It is Richard. Yes.
Hey, I thought that might be you.
Yep.
Hope all's well. Good job.
Excuse me?
I said, hope all is well. Good job keeping everything up and running during the winter storm.
Yeah, it was lots of fun, believe me. But we did it. We made it through it. That's all that counts. Everything ran fine. No problems. No boil water notices. No loss of pressure. We were good.
That's great.
Generators ran. Sewage treatment ran. That generator ran for about 26 hours, and the other one ran for about 32 for water.
Wow.
And we had phones. And we had phones for people to call when they had problems, unlike another utility district we know.
Wow. No, that's great.
Yep. I've never been so cold. I can't remember that last time it was that cold, except when I was a teenager skiing. I just didn't have any ski equipment, no clothes, so my hands got cold and my feet, but it didn't matter. We were moving so fast and we just kept moving around and stayed warm.
Because I think we had somebody else join.
Yes, Robert McElroy and my wife Bernadette will be joining too.
Robert, Bernadette.
Hey, Richard, do you know if Mark's in town?
Yes, he told me he was going to join. I talked to him
Okay.
earlier.
Okay.
Might be him right there.
Nope.
Is that Mark?
Mark's up.
Hey, Mark.
How's it
How are
going?
you?
I'm
Great.
good.
Mark, that wasn't one of your planes that threw that turbine, was it?
No, sir, but I think I've flown that. I think I've flown that airplane, but I
Really?
wasn't anywhere near it.
Wow.
Ah,
That's unbelievable.
But
It's a
that's what we
miracle
train
that
for.
everybody's okay.
Yeah.
Every 6 months we go into the simulator, and that's what we do. We practice losing an engine on takeoff, losing an engine on final. We do all the emergencies, and that we go over it and over it and over it. You know, basically every 6 months. So
Wow.
the crew
Wow.
did a good job, but it's what we're trained to do.
Can those
Wow.
planes glide if you have no engines?
They do. They've got roughly a 15-to-1 glide ratio. So every 15 miles you go, you lose a mile. So yeah, they fly perfectly well. They don't take off on one engine very well, but they take off. They land and they fly real well on one engine.
Wow.
But no engines, what happens?
You glide and you hope you have some place to put it down within that time frame.
I was taking off from Austin one time, Mark, and we had a bird strike. We were probably just about to lift off the ground, and we made a very fast stop on the runway.
Well, you have a certain point on your takeoff roll, a certain speed that you hit. And before that, if something happens, you stop because you have enough room to stop. After that point, you continue on because you don't have enough room to stop. And if
Sure.
you're in Boston and you were taking off over the water, you would have been floating if the guy waited too long to lift off.
wow.
It was an exciting ride, I assure you.
Right.
If you look at it, it never ever happens. You know, once every 2 or 3 years, something like this will happen. It just stuff like that doesn't happen very often. I've been lucky. I'm knocking on wood. I've never even come close to anything like that,
Wow.
except in the simulator.
We ready to get started? Okay.
I think so, Julie.
Okay. All right. I'm going to call the meeting of the River Plantation Municipal Utility District Board of Directors to order. Our first item on the agenda is to confirm the meeting minutes of the Board of Directors for December 17th of 2020, January 7th, 11th, 28th, and February 4th. Do we have all those meetings?
I don't have the 4th.
No, we can't, one of them didn't get. we
I was
didn't
gonna say, I thought one of those somewhere in there was canceled. Was it 28th canceled?
No, the last one.
That's
the
right.
one that's
No.
canceled.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the 28th.
Yeah, I think the 28th was canceled. So the only ones I have in my packet are December 17th and January 7th.
I think the
Me
4th
too.
is what got canceled because that was a week after the 28th.
Right, that would be it.
We had the long
okay.
meeting on the 28th.
Okay. Okay.
I thought it was the February 11th that was canceled. We had the 4th, and you didn't have to go to the next meeting or something.
You may be
Yeah.
right,
Could be
Richard.
wrong.
We
That's
did
what it
have
was.
the 4th. We had the special meeting on the 4th.
Okay,
Correct.
And that's when you approved the going out for the election, and then that mooted the need for the meeting on the 11th, so the 11th was canceled.
okay.
The 11th of January.
Okay.
I
So
thought that was one that you actually provided a recording for.
Which one was that?
I provided the minutes to you, Richard, for that one, right?
No, you provided me the January 7th and the December 17th.
Okay, yeah, the 7th.
all right, so let's look at well, apparently I just lost everybody.
I'm here.
Okay.
Tim's here.
Still hear you.
Okay, well, apparently you can see me. There we go. Okay. So, does anybody have any comments, questions on the December 17th minutes? If not, I do. So I'm gonna let somebody else speak if they have questions first. Nope. Okay. And I don't know who's doing the minutes. If Richard's doing them, Gerard's doing them, your office at Smith Murdaugh's doing them, who's doing them. But what I would like to see on the minutes, since we have to vote in public, I personally, is there anything wrong with putting who votes yay and who votes nay on matters on the minutes?
Look,
I
let me
don't
just
think
say,
it should matter either way, but
Correct me if I'm wrong, Davis, but if there's a split there, the no votes have to be listed out as to who voted no. Is that correct?
that's typically how we would do it. So,
Okay.
so we wouldn't necessarily name just as a matter of course, because generally most items like, paying the bills and that kind of stuff passes unanimously. We would just list that as having been approved unanimously. But in the event that we had someone voting nay, or voting against, then we would generally reflect that.
Okay. So
That's just
then,
how we generally prepare the minutes.
okay. So then on the December 17th, on the 4th order for the wastewater treatment plant number 1, can we list who voted no on that? And then the 6th order, someone voted no, which I'm not even sure who that was. So, and then I think that was the only ones where they voted no on that, on those minutes. Okay. If we could correct that, I appreciate that.
I can go
We'll make sure that happens.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked to Richard since the time that I had put that together, and he had confirmed the same thing, that we should include the names. It was unclear to me whether or not we should.
Okay.
So thanks for the clarification.
Okay. All right. So with those changes in mind, do we want to accept the minutes of December 17th with the proposed changes being made?
I'll make a motion that we do.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Mark seconds. Tim makes a motion. Mark seconds. Okay. How about the January 7th of 2021 minutes? Any comments, questions? No comments? Then I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of January 7th of 2021. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Tom seconds it. Okay. Okay, and then the other ones we'll get next time. Okay. All
We
right.
have to vote on it.
Vote on accepting them. Okay. All right. Do we want to vote individually? Go ahead, Tim. Start us. You vote to accept them,
Aye.
the minute?
Mark, yes.
Oh, no.
Julie, yes.
Bird, yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Number 2 on the agenda. Comments from the public. Oh,
Just a second, before we move to that, we've got several other dates where we don't have minutes yet, and I don't have the recordings. And just wanted to get clarification. I've sent a number of emails and I haven't received any response as to whether or not Smith Murdaugh is gonna put those together or how we're gonna do it.
Yeah, we're gonna help make sure that happens. I apologize if there was no response. I think some of that was happening last week during the catastrophe. So we will make sure to get all that taken care of.
Paul,
Sorry about that, Gerard. We had a number of emails internally about it, and I think that somehow we just failed to loop you in, so I apologize on that.
Agree.
That's fine. Just which way are we going to go with it? Are you guys going to provide the recordings, or are you going to provide the minutes?
Davis, I think
we can. Yeah, we can just go ahead and provide the minutes.
Yeah,
I think that's probably
what
easier.
we had said internally.
Yeah. Yeah. Say we've been slow getting it to you, and we owe you one. So.
All right, very good. I just want a clarification so I can plan ahead.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, we ready to go to number 2? All right, number 2 item on the agenda is comments from the public. Do we have anyone that would like to speak?
Yes, I'd like to say something. Robert McElroy speaking. Looking at the packet for tonight, discussion with a financial advisor, y'all have identified RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, which is a subsidiary, local subsidiary in the United States. I'd wonder, question, did we look to see if we found a financial advisor that's based really in the United States? Why we chose RBC? It looks like that's already been chosen. Are their cost competitive or more competitive? That'd be the only reason I would think you'd want to go outside a U.S.-based company. Second thing is the comments about the storm, and recognize the folks there for the great work you did in keeping our water going. And I think we have an operational report on how things went with regards to the operation of the facility and tank levels, because people were obviously had water dripping going on throughout the community. If we had sufficient reserve to handle fires, which I don't think happened, but and the operational status of how our equipment performed and availability of fuel to do the job. And the second thing with that, also, if we ever had to boil water, does the district have a plan in how to get that information out to people before it's too late and someone's gotten some bad water? Thankfully, we weren't not the city of Houston, and our MUD district did a great job in keeping the water going. That's all I have to say.
Robert, I will tell you this. We did have fuel delivered Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. Tuesday morning, we had fuel delivered. We were able to locate some and have it delivered to make sure that the generators never did run out of fuel. Also, I did put out a statement. It was either Monday morning or Tuesday morning on both Facebook, Nextdoor, and on our website. And it seemed to be that I was getting a lot of responses that way. So other than going door to door, I don't know how else to connect people or contact.
Well, not having electricity is one of the problems in that type of communication. And we were out on 2 different 12-hour periods. So.
Right, but we still had our phones.
And since it was so cold, we weren't thinking necessarily about looking at Facebook. Other than my wife, she would probably do that. But
yeah.
Anyway, so it's good to know you had some activity going on there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes. So, okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, hi, this is
yeah.
Dee.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Dee.
Okay, I'm on your meetings and I'm also on the phone because I don't know what's going on with this.
Oh, that's where the echo is coming from.
Okay. Well, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you can hear me through the computer. Okay, I noticed before everybody was on the, on the screen here so we could see everybody. Now it seems it's like
You can hear us.
at a time.
Yeah. Get closer to your computer, Dee.
Okay. Well, I guess I still have the phone on. Okay, I'm just looking to see the directors. All I see is you, Julie, and David and Paul.
It's still
Robert, you didn't answer about the bank.
it's very hard to hear you, Dee. Still, you sound very faint.
Okay, is this better if I just talk in the phone? I don't know where I'm looking for where the speaker is on this computer. I could turn it off.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay,
Most of them are built in, but that's okay.
Well, if I could find it, I'd cover it. Anyway, I see you, Julie, and I see Davis, and I see Paul. Is that all that's on here?
No,
Tim's here.
Tom and Tim and our representative from RBC and Taylor.
Okay, thank you for telling me.
Okay, so they're going to show up there when they speak, or what?
Okay.
I see all of them. It depends on what you've done with your screen.
Correct.
Okay.
If you click on the participants, it looks like two little people. If you click on that, you should see.
Well, I see you.
Okay. Do you see a little icon that has like two little people?
Yes.
Okay, click on that.
I still see you.
Oh.
Yeah, but you get a list on the right that tells you who's in the meeting.
Yeah. And I don't know how to bring everybody else up, but Tim is here and Tom is here.
Okay, I think I just saw Tom on the screen.
Okay.
But I think it'd be a great idea to have everybody out there so we can see them when they're talking.
Yeah,
Because you realize when we get back to in-person meetings, I'm going to be videoing this, and this will go on YouTube.
Hey,
So
Dee,
idea.
if you have a chat window, I just pasted in all the participants that I have. I don't know who star 36, star 71, and star 90 is, though. Can you identify yourselves if your phone ends in those numbers, please? 36?
Okay, I'm the 90.
Okay. Yeah, okay, you showed up as the other one, so you're, okay, got you.
Yeah. Okay, I have another question about the voting that was done for the bond issue. Now, we had two people vote no, and I'm just concerned, are they going to be, telling people not to vote for this or what? And, I kind of like to maybe start with Mark because he knows the condition of this district and just kind of finding out why the no votes. I thought everybody was kind of in agreement. We had a big problem here.
Well, this is Mark, and I can't remember if I voted yay or nay. I know we have a problem and we need to vote for the, I'm sorry?
You voted no.
Okay. If I voted no, there was something in there about, I didn't like the way it was going on, and I can't recall right now my thoughts, and it's not in my notes. When it comes up to the vote, I will see what needs to be done, and I will do what I feel is the appropriate thing to do.
Okay, and also Gerard voted no, so I'd kind of like to know your thoughts too, Gerard.
Yeah, Dee, I voted no, and as I stated in the meeting, I do think we need some work done, but for a number of reasons, I don't think we need to go as high as 25 million, 27 million with the parks. I think that number is too high. We discussed that pretty extensively in the meeting.
Okay. Okay, I guess that's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is Bernadette. I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
How many people are on this that are not board members that dialed in?
Looks like 5.
5. Yeah, it looks like 5.
Only 5 from the community.
Well, and actually one of them's Richard, so 4.
So 4. Okay, when Tom speaks, we cannot understand him. He sounds garbled, so he has to get a better reception.
I guess I better be quiet.
See, we can't, we only hear something, but we can't make out the words.
Tom, I can tell you, I got you coming through loud and clear. So there's an echo, and it looks like it's the number ending in 90 is producing an echo, and maybe having some audio problems.
That might be Dee being both on the computer and the phone.
The phone.
I agree.
Yeah.
She's muted on the computer now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
And I'll agree with Bernadette. Tom, I have a hard time understanding what you're saying also, but I'm not on the computer, I'm on my phone.
Let me just say, just particularly for those participants that aren't going to be speaking much, members of the community and things like that during the meeting, if you wouldn't mind muting your phones, it would be helpful in reducing the echo. If you're not speaking, if you would mute your phone as I am.
Sí, todo bien. Nada todavía más.
Christine, who's Christine Cruz?
Yeah, no, nada
Just
todavía.
joined?
Hey, Davis, can you mute her? There you go.
Yeah. Do you know who that is? Okay.
That's a member of the community is all I know.
Got it.
So.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
This is Robert McElroy again. I'd make another observation for the folks that voted or saying no on the bonds. It seems like to me the projected valuation that I see on these reports here is $200 million for the community as far as the taxable value projected to be. And at $25 million, $27 million bond, you're looking at better than 12.5% of the total value that people be paying to pay for these bonds. 12.5% of their property value over time. Is that right? That seems like that's quite a bit of money that people be paying to.
Well, Robert, I didn't look at it from that perspective, but that's part of why I voted no. The way that I had broken it down was it could possibly be as high as about $1,100 or $1,200 additional taxes per year per property. That's in addition to what's being paid right now just to service the debt.
Yeah, that's an increase of 33% from what I'm paying now.
Yep, that's correct.
That's quite a substantial. I'm surprised we have the legal environment is not there to protect us against that type of increase.
This is the engineer. Please note that this will not all be sold at once. This is the authorization to sell bonds going on up to 50, 100 years from now, so that the district can continue to maintain its facilities should it fall short on operating funds in the future. As of right now, we're really only projecting to sell about $5 million in the first 5 years to take care of some of the very, very major issues in the district. We're required to project out further into the district, which your financial advisor can touch on a little bit, but those are all estimates for the purpose of bond authorization and do not actually account for an actual schedule of events that we plan to take place. All bond issues will then later be voted on by the district members for authorization to go forward with actually selling bonds. So as of right now, this bond authorization is just okay, now we can go forward with requesting and selling bonds. We're required to go through the TCEQ, the Texas Environmental Quality Agencies, to submit a report for funding projects that fall under water, sewer, and drainage. These have to be submitted in a very big binder report with cost estimates, details of the projects, information about the districts. Your attorney has to review it and sign off on it. Your FA has to do a full analysis of your financial needs as it applies to the tax rate. And then once that's all done, we have to sign it, seal it professionally, send it to the TCQ, who then has to review it and approve it. And then you can sell bonds. So there's a lot of safety falls in this money that it can't just be spent on anything the board wishes, whoever is on the board in the next 50 to 100 years.
And Robert, the bond issue is bonds are like a line of credit. It's not like you go out and you sell 25 million of them tomorrow. Okay. You sell them as you need them.
Oh yeah, I saw the schedule you have that's there, you know. Like I say, just a substantial amount of money, and that's
Well,
the concern
you
I
have
would have. That's potentially there, and to understand all the protections that are in place for what he described and the hurdles to go through, I guess we have to assume that they're there to help protect the homeowner, because anyway, that's the way I'm looking at it.
And you have to remember, this is a 60-year-old community that has literally, I'm going to say, very little preventative maintenance done. We from what I'm seeing, we are a reactive district, or have been a reactive district instead of a proactive district.
Yeah, I know.
And well, your biggest investment is your home, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let me also add
too, is the engineering cost. The firm you selected, from what I can gather just by looking at their website, it seemed like you probably got one of the more more prominent engineering firms in terms of probably expense. I don't know if that's flexible in the future to where you can, as you release projects, that you'll take competitive bids. I know you're looking to have this firm do the in-house work, but there's things that maybe if you look at their, I guess you've gotten a description of the firm and the sizable. They do work for the city of Houston and for the Harris County Flood Control District, and do a lot of big projects, for which this to me is just kind of a little bump on the log for them. And so we have the Cadillac fees to go with this too. So that's the other part I hope y'all can take into consideration.
Robert, I can tell you we discussed that, and almost every engineering firm charges the exact same percentage on projects. So it doesn't matter what firm you have. And I can say, I don't feel that we're a bump on a blip on their map. Every time we've contacted them about something, we've had an excellent response from Taylor. He's been out here at least 2 or 3 times that I know of, going through the community and looking at areas with us, of areas of concern. So I don't feel that we're a blip on a log to them.
Yeah, this
fine.
This
Thank
is
you
Jeff
for
Fogler.
taking time to respond. I appreciate it.
Yeah, let me just interject. This is Jeff Fogler. You're certainly not a blip on a log. Probably the bigger part of our business is mud districts, which is actually things we enjoy doing the most. We do work for all the big agencies. We try to. Every engineering firm in town tries to get those same projects. I'll be honest with you, they're not that much fun, and they're not really that profitable, because they drag on for years, and you'd be surprised the different bureaucracy you have to go through when you work for flood control or Harris County or some of the larger cities. So our fees are based on engineering curves, just like the vast majority of engineering firms are. We're not, I appreciate the fact that you say we have a nice website, but we'll give credit to the website designer. It really doesn't have anything to do with us having large fees or anything. It's just somebody we hired that did a decent job on the website.
And let me also
the clientele
add,
you have, it looks like you must be highly regarded.
We like to think so.
I guess there's a degree of comfort knowing you work with flood control, so obviously we need
and
that.
let me add that the total par amount of the bonds was determined having looked at the potential replacement cost of the district's facilities, right? And so while that does seem like a large percentage, it gives you some idea of the replacement cost of the district's facilities and the value of those facilities.
At today's value or at the projected value when the work is done? I mean, we're getting ready for inflation with what's happening in Congress. I mean, I think we can see it at the gas pump, you know.
It depends on whether you do the work now or you do the work in 5 years, and that's something that we take into account every time we decide whether or not to do a project.
Okay.
And Robert, I can tell you, if that's a concern, then we need to get this bond issue passed and get on it.
Okay.
Because it's only going to get more expensive, not less expensive.
I understand that.
There's no question that the market that rates are going up, and I'll let Lauren can comment on that if y'all want to talk about it, but I don't know if you want to.
I've had more than my share for questions. That's all. I don't have more comments.
Okay.
Thank you. Y'all need to got lots of business ahead tonight. So.
Okay. All right.
Robert, if I can make a comment and make you feel any better, it's just like Julie said, when you pass the bond, that's just like a line of credit. And I can assure you that based on situations as it is today, and I'm still supposed to be on this board until what, 2024, something like that. We will not pass more than a maximum, probably about 7,000 at most, and I don't think it'll go that high.
7 million.
Huh?
7 million.
7 million. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But that would be like an upside number. In my mind, I don't even think we'll need that much. If that helps you arrive at a comfort level, maybe that'll do it. And I think that's where Mark and Gerard are not looking at it from the same perspective that I am. So
right.
That kind of gives you an example of what's going on.
Right. And if you just look at what it took us to repair the Jubal Early project, or to do the Jubal Early project, just take that times 55 parks if we have the same issue, and you're already at your $5 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You're over your $5 million, and that's not talking about anything but the parks. So
the difference there is you get to do them all at one time, and you can get some
that's true
in that.
That's right.
Yep. So, okay. All right. Thanks, Robert. Do I have anybody else in the from the public that would like to make a comment? Do you want to unmute Christine Cruz in case she wants to make a comment, Davis?
She has the ability to unmute herself.
Okay. All right. Do I have anyone else in the public that wants to make a comment? Nope. We're all done with public comments.
I do just want to say thank you for making this as a Teams meeting. That way we can also be part of this and see what's going on in our community. I appreciate that.
No problem. Okay. All right. Going on to number 3. Discuss and approve payment options for January and February water bills. Okay, I had this added to the agenda, and the reason I had it added to the agenda is I'm assuming from the emails I got and the people I was talking to that a lot of people with the broken pipes had a problem turning off their water. I know some people were even out of town, so I don't know how long their water ran. But I think we have to make some accommodations for the situation, just to help these people pay these water bills that are I mean, I don't know what the highest water bill is going to be for this month. Richard, you just went out and read them yesterday. Was that right? So
Yeah.
I will tell you, I know mine went up almost, what, 8 times what it normally is. But I have paid mine, so, because I didn't want it to interfere with this. But my water usage went up almost 8 times in this month, because I did have a faucet that I could not turn off. Okay, and I'm not looking for any dispensation for me, because like I said, I've already paid it. But I think there's going to be some other people in this community. I'm not asking that those fees be waived. I'm asking that maybe we set up some sort of payment plan over a couple of months to give them an option of spreading it out, because I'm sure that was not budgeted to cover their water bills for that. So does anybody have any comments?
Yeah, Julie, I heard of another district, or maybe it was City of Houston, that what they were doing in those cases is just going to the last month's bill and just billing it that. So I guess that would be December. But before I would propose or support that, I'm just curious what our costs are actually incurred whenever somebody, let's just say, is 8 times as much. You run that much water through. Is it really an 8x factor for the water district?
That's going to be a Richard answer. Richard?
No,
what's our
because
actual cost of water?
The system's going to put out according to the demand. So it's hard to say that for just one residence, because the system sees the increase in demand. So it's just going to keep up with it. But when you spread it across the whole system, it's not that much more. You know, it's just you're running the increase in cost is the fact we're running the generators, not actually the usage on the water, because the pumps are going to pump no matter what. You know.
So in the readings that you took this week, did you see that we're going to have a lot more people in with the higher usage, or was it just a few?
Actually, anytime we get a higher than normal reading, the system flags us. So we went out and reread all of the ones that flagged us, and we had about 62 that we had to reread.
62 houses? Okay.
Now,
wow.
Here's the thing. They really weren't that high. I mean, we only had 2 people that went over 50,000 gallons. That's it. And one of them was a broken fire main that wasn't even there.
Okay.
And we traditionally have one customer that's always over 50.
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. But can you, and I guess what I would like to see is, I guess, our comparison of the information we have in our packet this month, or I guess our December, January usage, compared it to our February usage to see if we can see, is this something we need to look at, or is it something we just take on a case by case basis? But I think if it's on a case by case basis, we as a board have to make a decision instead of leaving it in Richard's hands as far as what we're going to do. That's my opinion.
This is Mark. I agree with you, Julie. I've talked to a couple people, that had a lot of running water. They weren't in town. Their neighbors went out there. We should vote, I think, to do a 3-month, a 6-month, a year, whatever. I mean, I don't think we need a year.
I don't want to go a year.
That, something if they can show that they had a broken pipe and their water bill is so much more than what's normal, that they do have, spread it over 3-6 months or whatever.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Well,
go ahead, Davis.
Let me suggest something that a lot of my clients do. You can decide on a fixed period of time that you will offer, anyone who requests a payment plan, right? 3 months or something like that. It would be a common time period. The other kind of assistance that our clients frequently provide is you have an incremental water rate, meaning a rate that is designed to encourage conservation. So the water gets more expensive as you use more water. And so you can reduce the bill by charging the water at the lowest incremental rate, meaning a rate that at which the district is whole, right? Or still generating a little bit of revenue, but you're not charging a rate that is designed to encourage conservation. And in situations where you have a leak and the water didn't enter the sewer system, you can also take a look at sewer charges as well. So those are generally our recommendations on when you give kind of a large scale break like that, because it ensures that the district is made whole, but also allows you to provide, you know, meaningful relief to your customers. So.
Yeah, I just, and Mark, I liked your idea, but I don't know that we can have them prove they had a water pipe break or something, because I had no damage. I just have a faucet that I couldn't turn off. So it just, something got in there that I can't turn it off. So.
Well, what was it, because of the flood? I mean, that's not the flood, but
yes,
the
it
freeze?
happens. Yes.
Well, you know, so a leaky pipe, a busted pipe, a stuck faucet. The same. I ran around and I've talked to plenty of people. You know, I have a feeling that most people, number one, don't know where their water shutoff is. Number two, if they do know where it is, they don't have the tool to turn the valve to shut it off. And number three is, I went out to try to turn off a friend of mine's valve, and I put every bit of strength into it, and that valve wouldn't turn.
Yeah, welcome to my world. That Tom and his son came over and tried to help me, and we couldn't get it. We couldn't get it turned off.
Julie, let me offer something if I could. I think based on what I hear Richard saying, water bills themselves are not going to be the problem. The problem is the overall expense that people have incurred because of this loss of work, because of the damages to their homes, the electric bills. Some people may be getting some fairly good electric bills. So, but it doesn't sound like, based on what Richard's saying, that the water bill itself is the problem. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to be compassionate for our residents. I might throw a couple of things I've been thinking about. Is one thing we might want to consider is possibly put a moratorium on shutting off water, say for a 3-month period, as long as the people are trying to make the payments. You know, you might allow them to contact Richard, the MUD director, and work out some kind of solution. I like the idea of maybe a payment plan. The problem you get into when you try to do that is at the end of 3 months. You know, you may have people who have just wrote it for 3 months. There's going to be some, but anyway, I think something like that, or maybe let them make half payments if they contact us. But then we got to find a way to get that message out to the people. But that would be a couple of suggestions. Let them make a payment plan starting now, and maybe a moratorium on shutoffs through the end of May. But that would be 3 months, correct? Yeah. Hey, that's a couple ideas. If anybody has anything else, I'd like to hear them.
I like that idea, Tom.
Julie, can I make a suggestion here?
Yep, go ahead, Richard.
Okay, number one is a lot of the phone calls we've been getting because Taylor's been calling them, every one of these that are over. Most of them understand what's going on and they don't have a problem with it. And even the ones that went up, they had no damage to their house, but they let the faucets drip and at high rates. So that's why they went up, and they understand it perfectly clear. No, we understand it. We'd rather pay the water bill than the damage is done by the pipes.
Yeah.
You know,
and that was my theory too.
That's really the general attitude. But my suggestion was going to be is this, and I guarantee you they'll call the office and see what we can do. My suggestion is if the board approves, I was going to suggest that we say, tell you what, we're going to make an effort to allow you to pay the bill over time. We will not cut you off for the next 2 months to allow you time to catch up on this bill. And if they can pay a little bit more than the normal bill, then it will eventually get caught up. And I would say, I agree, no more than 3 months. They have to be caught up. But you're not talking about that big of a bills. Most of them are, they're 60, 80, a couple of them, the only two are over 100 are the ones that I was talking about, the higher ones. The rest of them are still well within under $100.
Okay. Okay. So what do we want to do, guys? We want to take Richard's
I would say,
solution?
I would personally, I would adopt Tom's idea of making it a 3-month deal with no cutoffs until the end of May, because that would be the normal cutoff time if somebody didn't pay their May bill. And like Richard said, as long as they're paying a little more every month and making satisfactory gains on their outstanding bill, that we should adopt that.
I second it.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. Are you making a motion, Tim?
Let's make that a motion, yes.
Okay.
So then
So
I second
Tim's
it.
making a motion and Mark seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Tim, aye.
Julie, aye.
Gerard, aye.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Number 5. Oh, wait. Number 4. Consider the engagement of the financial advisor and take action as necessary.
Okay. I know y'all haven't met Lauren yet, but Lauren and I have done a lot of work together. RBC is one of the kind of main financial advisors serving MUD districts in the greater Houston area, state of Texas. And he has been helping us with your engineer summary of costs and the projections and tax rate calculations and all that kind of stuff throughout this process. We've had so much stuff going on that we just haven't we haven't gotten him in front of you yet, but his rates are very very competitive, and think he does a good job, and so thought I would get him in here today and give you a chance to look at his engagement and talk to him. So, Lauren.
Thanks, Davis. Good evening to you all. Very nice to meet you over video. Of course, look forward to being able to meet you in person. My name is Lauren Morales. I work for the Royal Bank of Canada. I work for the United States Capital Markets branch of RBC. Just to comment on that a little bit, Royal Bank of Canada entered the United States around 2001, buying several regional municipal finance firms. So in Texas, they purchased a firm called Dane Rauscher, which had done municipal finance work in Texas since the 1930s. So there's a long Texas pedigree with a lot of my colleagues and kind of the tradition of our firm. Let me also say RBC is a Canadian bank, is a very conservative bank. To illustrate that, in the financial crisis of 2007 and 2008, a lot of the banks around the world were downgraded by different rating agencies. And actually, Royal Bank of Canada to this day carries the highest or one of the highest ratings from all 3 of those rating agencies compared to a lot of banks I'm sure you all have heard of, like Bank of America and JP Morgan. But when RBC made this acquisition in 2001, they really kind of didn't want to change a lot of things, and Dane Rauscher continued to operate as Dane Rauscher with the same logo for several years. I think 5 or 6 or 7 years before even the logo was finally changed. And that certainly wasn't RBC being lazy or anything like that. That was intentional, kind of RBC giving space to that subsidiary company and recognizing that that subsidiary company in Texas had done a great job for many decades, and they were not here to make a lot of changes. So just wanted to comment on on kind of who I work for. You know, I don't know any Canadians. Royal Bank of Canada employs over 300 municipal finance professionals around the country. And here in Texas, we have offices in Dallas and San Antonio. Here in Houston, there are 8 of us. So there's about 15 of us in Texas, 8 of us here in Houston. And I've worked with community facilities districts and municipal utility districts in Arizona and Texas since 2013. And in the last several years, I've worked exclusively with Texas clients. This is my main focus. RBC has always indicated their commitment to this space, the special district space in Texas. So, you know, we certainly appreciate the support that they've given us. But, and I also wanted to make a comment, you know, been working a little bit with Jeff recently on your district, and regarding responsiveness, that's kind of a buzzword for me. And I think both Davis and Jeff will agree. You know, I really pride myself on my responsiveness and the responsiveness of my team. And so look forward to working with you. But let me pause there and would really love to answer any questions you all might have.
Have you gotten final financial information regarding what the average increase would be per homeowner for, let's say, the first $5 million bond sale that we have, so that we can use that as a tool when we're talking to the homeowners?
Right, and you know, that's a consideration where frankly I would look to you board members for some input. You know, a lot of what I've been preparing has been schedules for this entire bond authorization, the entire voted authorization. But as Jeff commented, and also Jeff's colleague commented, you know, in reality, you all aren't looking to issue 25 million anytime soon, you know, and I think Jeff, your colleague mentioned, you know, only 5 million in the next 3 to 5 years. So that's a very different scenario than what I have worked on to date. I certainly can put that together, but, you know, that would be, again, that would be kind of a consideration and sort of some long-term planning that I would bring to you board members to review. You know, do we want to look at what a tax rate impact would be for this bond issue alone, or do we want to maybe try to plan a little bit farther ahead? So I hope that answers your question at least a little bit.
So in other words, you've been working on the, let's call it the worst case scenario, that if we sold $25 million at once.
Not at once, not
Okay.
at once. We spaced them out, but yeah, for your bond election ordinance, there were a few things that were needed from me. You know, amortization schedules, projected amortization schedules, projected debt service schedules, and so I've been working with the entire 25 million amount and also the amount, the park amount. But it would be a different story to look at sort of the more immediate schedule. And I have not yet prepared that, but I certainly can if you all engage me.
Understood. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just one quick comment on that. In the engineering report, there was a financial advisor section. I assume that was not you, Lauren, and I believe that was based on 15 million, 5 million issuance.
We did prepare a schedule prior to knowing the final amount of the bond ordinance election. I had a discussion with Jeff, and we did prepare a schedule sort of to look at the more immediate possibilities, which was closer to 15 million.
Hey, Gerard, this is Jeff. We that was an earlier draft, had the 15. The final one that we prepared, which was included in our report tonight, did go back to the full $25 million worth of bond sales that Lauren prepared for the overall. So what you're talking about, the 15 was an earlier version.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I have not seen the latest one. As I have a day job, it came in a little bit late. So fair enough. But so you got two references there. Thanks, Jeff.
Oh, you're muted, Julie.
Oh, do we have any other questions for Lauren? Okay.
What's the time frame if we for the first sale, let's say we decide on a $5 million sale, what's the time frame from the time that the election approves it to we've actually got $5 million to spend on a project?
If I can jump in on that,
Okay.
I will say that a lot of it is going to have to do with how long it takes to prepare the application and how far along we are on the projects and the type of projects. We'll have to submit the application, right? Prepare and submit the application, which it's always easy for me to tell you that the engineer can have it ready in, some completely unreasonable period of time. But let's say 60 days, right? You authorize the engineer to prepare the application, they prepare the bond application, and it goes through review and comment and all that good stuff in 60 days. And it will take some time, particularly because you haven't sold bonds in a while, to put the first application together. That application goes up. It takes about a week to be declared administratively complete by the TCEQ, and then you have about a 2-month review process, assuming we submit an expedited application to the TCEQ. Then once we obtain approval from the TCEQ, it takes about 3 months to sell bonds.
Okay.
So you are looking at, call it 7 months to actually have cash in hand. I'll also say that that you can't just go out and include anything you want in an application and expect to be able to use the cash. So the TCEQ does a very detailed review of the application, and they have limitations on what they will allow you to use the money for and how you can use it and when. And there are some cases in which you sell bonds and the TCEQ says, well, you don't have approved plans and specifications, or you don't have X, Y, or Z, and they'll actually require you to escrow those funds. So in those cases, you might go out and sell $5 million in bonds, and one of your projects or two of your projects or three of your projects might get escrowed. Then those funds would be escrowed with the bank, and you'd have to actually go back to the TCEQ to get a release of escrow once you have the approved plans and specifications or meet whatever the escrow release requirements are. So I know that's kind of a long explanation, but 7 months.
I understand completely.
Assuming everything's
Lauren,
ready.
One follow-up question, and I'm surprised nobody has addressed it yet. The fees that RBC charges, if I read it right, it's fairly simple. It's a 2% fee. So on a $5 million issuing, that would be roughly $100,000.
Yes, sir. That's correct. And yeah, similar to a comment your engineer made before, I think you'll find that is sort of an industry standard that's in line with all of the financial advisors who participate in this space.
Okay, thanks.
And I think it's also worth pointing out that Lauren, typically doesn't charge an hourly rate for those clients where there's any regular bond activity. So tax rate recommendations, advice, questions, all that kind of stuff. Don't abuse him, or he should start charging you. But he is responsive and generally pretty generous with his time. So
thank you, Davis.
Okay, so do we need to vote on accepting RBC as or have we pretty much already decided that.
You do need to vote to approve the engagement to hire RBC if that's what you want to do.
That's what yeah. Did anybody want to make a motion to accept RBC as our advisor, financial advisor?
I'll make a motion that we accept RBC as our financial advisor.
Do I have a second? I'll second it then. So all in favor? Julie says aye.
Tim, aye.
Gerard's aye.
Mark's aye.
Tom, aye.
All right. Welcome aboard, Lauren.
Thank you very much. Look forward to working with you all.
Just to make sure I heard it correctly, Tom, you were a nay. I do have trouble with your audio.
Yeah, it seems like I'm getting texts from people that are on telephones trying to talk or hear me. They can't hear me, but it seems like those that are on computers are hearing me. So there's nothing I can do about it today.
He voted yes or yay.
Oh, it was a yes.
It was 5. It was 5.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Davis, if there's a contract involved for services, can you get that to me so I can get it signed?
The engagement letter is included in the meeting packet, Richard.
Oh, okay, great, thanks.
You'll see it. It's pages. Let me see here. Pages 9 through 16.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Number 5, report on the capital improvements plan. I'm guessing this is Taylor and Jeff? Or is this Richard?
So we can push that to number 8 when we talk about the engineer's report that we submitted, if that works for you guys.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right, so we'll move number 5 down somewhere near 8. Okay. All right, number 6, review the management company options and take action as necessary. I don't know who put that on the agenda, so whomever put it on the agenda, go.
Well, Tim put it on the agenda, but it also is kind of tail feathered with something Paul put on there also.
Okay.
Yeah, Tim, I'll say it's 6 and 7 do essentially the same thing. It's just the verbiage is slightly different. We wanted to cover all your bases so that the board could act in any way it sees fit. But those 2 items are directed at if there's discussion and or action the board would like to take to go ahead and solicit a new operator or otherwise known as a management company.
Well, I think it certainly needs to be discussed. I know we've kind of danced around it before, but I think that we need to be prepared for that time when Richard retires. We need to make sure that we've got somebody in place that knows how the gear works and knows what Richard knows for RPMUD. So I know I've talked with 3 different management companies in the recent months, and they're all eager to talk with us, give us presentations, give us pricing, give us anything that we need to help make the decision.
Okay, so do we invite them, like, do we put out an RFQ first, I guess is what I'm asking, like we did for the engineering firms, and then get them to submit proposals and then interview them like we did for that? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It would be essentially the exact same process. Just need y'all to vote that you would like to do that, and then our firm will help coordinate that. And of course, if you have anyone in particular you want to send the RFP to, you just let us know.
Okay.
Okay.
So one question related to that. Whenever you send those RFPs out, how specific are they related to responsibilities? And the reason I asked that is, as mentioned a few minutes ago, it's in prep for Richard's retirement and basically to take on all his duties. Do we have all of those duties, responsibilities documented now? Or is that something we need to do before we begin to talk to the companies and send out RFPs?
If I can interject, Gerard, typically the operations companies are used to operating the water and wastewater systems and performing all of the necessary maintenance and repairs and everything. So it will be a unique situation for them to have Richard there as kind of an asset and to be involved in all of that stuff. They are more accustomed to coming in and handling all of those responsibilities. So my expectation is that their proposals will all list those capabilities and their ability to provide all of those services, if that's helpful.
Okay, yes.
All services necessary to ensure that your water and wastewater system, your wastewater system is operated within permit and maintained and properly repaired, and that your water system is operated in accordance with all applicable rules and regulations and the same way, and that they'll also have the capability to go out and make repairs and do stuff like that. So
that'll be good as long as they're specific. Just want to make sure we're getting like for like bids, especially when comparing them to the things that Richard's doing today for us. I know he does a lot for us. He does a really good job. So as we take this out and we're soliciting a new company, I want to make sure that they're going to do everything that Richard's doing.
Sure,
And
no question.
And we just need to know about it.
And I think it will be really important to consider Richard's involvement and how all that stuff is going to work, in that period of time. And I don't know what Richard's schedule looks like, and Jeff and Taylor, will be a valuable parties to involve in the process as well, just with a lot of experience with different operators. So.
All right. So do I have a motion to put together a RFQ for operating companies, management companies?
I'll make a motion that we.
Oh, wait a minute. Mark has a question. Okay.
One quick question is what's the time frame? I think the last I heard, Richard wasn't going to retire until a couple years from now. Do we need to start on this early, or should we just have everything in place to do the RP or whatever later on? I mean, what time frame are we talking about, Richard?
Well, that's going to depend on the board. Normally, most companies, management companies, I mean, they can do a turnaround in a month. I mean, they're pretty quick. They know what they're doing, and that's their business. So they can walk in and take over the plant.
What I'm asking is when are you planning on stepping down?
Well, I wasn't planning on stepping down for another 2 years, but again, that's the board's decision.
Yeah.
So you're saying 2022 or 2023?
23.
So I don't see a reason. Like I said, I don't see a reason to start working on this now if we've got another 2 years to look into it.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and move forward and put out an RFQ for management companies.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
I know Richard is I'm getting some feedback here. I gotta change
Yeah.
mic. Sorry.
Yeah, it's someone with a phone number ending in 871.
Yeah, that's me. Everybody's saying they can't
Oh,
hear me.
okay.
So I tried to call you,
Oh.
mute the other one,
Ah,
but now it's
got it.
going crazy. So anyway, I've always told, and I've even talked with Richard about it, I think he does a great job, but we need to start a succession plan of some sort. If this now's the time, I'm not 100% sure, but can we put or engage a company such as this and still allow Richard to work under his plan as long as he's doing his job right?
I think, and I'm going to tell you what I think. I could be totally wrong because I haven't talked to any of these companies, but I believe when this was studied a long time ago, most of the management companies try to keep the staff on that they have to see how well they do and because they're familiar with the district. And Tim, do you know if that's the case?
Yes, that was discussed with each of the three, that they would stay on as support staff for however long. I mean, it wasn't really discussed as of having a deadline. It was just they need to be here to teach everybody what's going on.
Okay, I guess you answered my question. So under the the provision that we can stipulate that Richard would stay with us as long as he wants, I guess, I would go ahead and second the motion.
Okay, so I have a motion and I have a second for the motion. So how's everybody going to vote? I need a vote from everybody.
Tim, aye.
Julie, aye.
Mark, no.
Gerard, no.
Once again, with that stipulation, I'll vote aye.
Okay. All right. Proceed with the RFQ. So, all right, number 8 and number 5, the engineer's report and the capital improvements plan.
You go.
All right, guys. Obviously, this is just kind of our standard report format that we do for all our districts. As you can see, we always keep it as a good item to put your permits when they're expiring, just so we keep track of when those will be renewed. I think as of right now, Richard does all the renewals on that, so it doesn't fall on us at this time. Sometimes in the future, it may fall on us. So we just like to keep track of it and keep you guys in the loop. Obviously, no design projects going on that we're managing or construction projects at this moment. Going down to the other matters, the bond authorization election, we did attach the new reports for the WS&D and the Parks and Recs. If you've had a chance to look at it, obviously it's a long report and y'all have day jobs.
Yeah, no major changes, just kind of been updating with, as comments were coming in, so.
One thing I did note on there, we are working on a presentation with pictures just from my district inspections that I've taken that we can prepare for you guys to send out to the board here in the next week or so, that you can then, as you feel necessary, pass on to people. First couple of drafts will obviously be the comments from you guys, and once we kind of iron all that out, then it may be something the board wants to do, or in the future board may hold a town hall style meeting to talk about the bond if they feel it necessary. So that's being worked on. 10-year capital improvements plan. We talked to you guys a little bit about this. We are going to request authorization to proceed with the 10-year CIP. Estimated cost is not to exceed $20,000.
And we'll do that on an hourly basis, not to exceed that amount.
That's correct. Items that will be included, we'll have your facilities evaluated by our professional electrical engineer that we work with on a regular basis. He'll go through all the facilities, actually looking to schedule that Wednesday if you guys let us proceed. We'll catalog all the water and wastewater plant components. So we'll go through, take pictures, write down the actual parts, sizes, manufacturers, things like that. and then visual inspection of the drainage ditches to an in-depth walking them all, taking pictures of problem areas, surface inspection of storm sewer systems, walking those easements, the sinkholes. And we've already seen some of those. A lot of that has been done just in getting to know the district, but it'll be a little bit more in depth. We'll do spot inspections on sanitary sewer manholes. So we'll try to get, anywhere from about 50% of the manholes, pop the lids, the ones that are easy to access, take a look at them. That will help us to understand the actual damages to the manholes. Won't be able to inspect the lines at this time, but we do know that some of the CIP has been done per Richard's notes. And so we'll also review that information as well, so we can get a more in-depth plan on what needs to be done with the sanitary rehab. That will help us to put together preliminary cost estimates for all those forecasted projects that we do lay out, and then obviously put it all together in a spreadsheet timeline span of when we believe these projects need to take place. That will allow us to evaluate future needs for bonds once the bond authorization is passed by the voters. Any questions on any of that?
Pretty thorough.
So what it'll really help you with is, from a planning standpoint, you'll understand the useful life of your facilities and how long they've been in the ground or on the ground, right? So it's a really valuable tool.
Great.
And then the last item I have on there is just acquisition of the district files. We've actively been scanning all of those drawers that we hauled off on the visit that we had. Richard, I should have those back to you Wednesday when we come out for electrical inspection, if the board authorizes us to proceed. And we also are expecting files to be transferred from Blisle. We did send them a link the other day, so I'm sure that has probably been done. Will be done by tomorrow or the next day.
And I had a pretty long conversation with John Blisle, and I mean, he was very cordial. I mean, he's a super guy, and no problem transferring the information. And probably would have had it last week, except we all know what happened last week. So
we were all ice skating for it.
So that's a very smooth transition with Blisle.
Okay.
So the only thing really we need board's authorization is to proceed with that CIP of not to exceed $20,000. Again, that's on an hourly basis, and it's the time that's necessary to complete the work as laid out in the bullet points.
Okay. All right. I'll make a motion that we authorize them to continue with the CIP study report. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Mark, aye.
Tim, aye.
Gerard, aye.
Julie, aye. Okay. Get working on it, guys.
Already started.
All right. So number 9 is the report from the attorneys.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, David. You start.
Yeah, we've been actively working on really everything that we've talked about. Obviously, the bond-related items. Working with your financial advisor, and I think Jeff and Taylor and I have been trading phone calls and emails, and obviously Paul too. About every day. So there's a lot going on, and I think we're on schedule and making good progress. So.
The only thing I'll add, board members, is that there was a time when we were getting demand letters and things related to the status of certain district facilities. And my point in saying that is that y'all are doing an excellent job, because that has ended, and that's really helped reduce what your lawyers are having to do for you, which is great. The only, I guess contested thing we do still have pending is the Charleston condemnation. And so my update there, I have executive session on these agendas every time in case we need to go talk about it in more detail. I'm assuming we don't tonight, so I don't need to ask for an executive session, but we are still working through the settlement issues. It's not easy. It's slightly complicated. It's a big real estate transaction with multiple parties, but everything is still on track. It's just taking a while, and we're slowed down with COVID, we're slowed down with the winter Armageddon, and so I have no negative news. We're just doing our best to keep moving along towards closure.
Okay. All right. Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Then we're going to skip number 11. And number 12, we're going to review the financial and bookkeeping matters, review the bookkeeper's report. So, does anybody have any questions on the bookkeeper's report? Hey, Richard, I have one question if nobody else does. Oh, Tim, did you have one?
No, go ahead. I know what you're going to ask. So.
Okay. Richard, the very last page of the bookkeeper's report shows pledged securities.
Yes.
Can you tell me what that is? And what are they pledged towards?
Since we're public funds, we have to have pledged securities in the bank.
So state law, the chapters 2256 and 2257 of the government code, the Public Funds Investment Act and the Public Funds Collateral Act require that all district funds be collateralized. So anytime you have deposits in excess of FDIC limits, you have to have what's called a depository pledge agreement with a bank. And what the bank does is they work with a third party who holds collateral for the benefit of the district. So, the federal government insures the first 250,000, and this is your insurance in the event that the bank fails. You can make a claim against that collateral. And so this is actually something that your auditor looks at too for compliance purposes. And so the auditor will go through and ensure that that the bank was holding sufficient collateral at all times to cover your deposits.
Got it. That's the first time I've seen that. Has that been on there before, Richard?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions?
That's part of the quarterly investment report. That's why you don't see it all the time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? I know I like the fact that we were pretty close to the budgeted amount last month. Balanced budget's always good if we can get there. I like the fact that we were, so anyway, anybody have any questions on anything on the bookkeeper's report? Okay.
Did we have a vehicle breakdown or something?
He did was it December, Richard? We had to have work done on that truck?
It was early, January.
January? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what he's looking at on the
repairs?
We had to replace the engine. The engine went out.
Yeah. Well, it kind of blew the budget away for the year, right?
Okay. Okay. Any questions on the bookkeeper's report?
No.
No. Any questions on the report from the tax assessor collector? Okay. Review of the investments. Richard, you want to go over that with us? Or I think we can all see it, but.
Yeah. They're right in line with everything. So.
And they're all making nothing, which is what everything is making right now. So.
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. The next item on the agenda then is to approve the payment of the district's bills. Looking over the bookkeeper's report and that. Does anybody have any questions on the bills, or anyone who want to make a motion to approve the payment of the bills?
I move we approve the bills as to be paid.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Tim seconds.
Okay. All in favor?
Mark, aye.
Gerard,
Tim,
aye.
Tom, did you say something?
Yes, ma'am, I said aye.
Okay. And Julie, aye. So we've approved the payment of the bills. Number 13 is a review of the administrative reports, the manager's reports, and the system totals reports.
Okay, the system totals report's in your packet. The manager's report's not in there. I didn't really have time to sit down and do that with last week's fiasco there. But all the systems are running fine. There's no problems with them. There was no issues through the freeze. The wastewater plant and the water plants ran by generator. The wastewater plant ran 26 hours on the generator and the water plants ran 34. Everything was fine. No problem with pressure, even though they had drips on and the demand went up a little bit, but the system is more than adequate to handle that load. So we were good. We were good to go.
Okay. Did we
did a
get
good
that?
job with that, Richard.
Yeah, you did do a good job, Richard. Did we get that radiator repaired, or that whatever that problem was with that radiator? Okay.
Yep, it's already been repaired.
Okay. Good. So, yep, your guys did a great job. So I know you were out there when a lot of other people wouldn't have been and weren't. So, yep. So, okay. Any other questions? I know we've got it down to my one thing where I'm going to harp on the gallons usage, and anybody that knows me knows that I was complaining about my own water running and trying to figure out how to shut it off. I don't know how many times I called Tim and Tom to see if they could come help me. But anyway, so we good with the systems total report?
Well, you better clarify we didn't come at the same time.
No, no, we didn't. So we didn't have a quorum. So, but yeah, so we didn't have to worry about that. Plus, we didn't have to vote on anything about turning off my water. So, okay. I guess we're on to pending business.
Yep.
Okay. And in pending business, what I'd like to do is something new this month, and I really want to continue it every month. Is we have a bunch of committees, or not a bunch, we have several committees that people were working on. And what I'd like to do is find out what the status of what they're working on. I know we had one committee that was going to work with the CIA on the hog problem. I had another one that was working on the, trying to see what they could find about Texas Water Development Board. And there was another one in, I can't remember what that was. Oh, I think I had Tom that I was going to ask, that I had asked to sit in on or listen to the Lone Star groundwater meetings and the San Jacinto River Authority meetings, because they seem to have a lot going on right now. So, so which committee wants to start first?
Well, Mark with the hog committee, I don't know if Gerard found any more, but I assumed it was Richard that did something. He said it was the CIA, and I haven't been able to talk to anybody in the CIA about the setup of the traps. You know, I'm glad they did, but who authorized it?
Well, those traps were set. Remember, those traps were set up, and we all authorized them months ago. But the reason they haven't been taken down is because the hogs have now moved. They've now moved to a creek area in the back of RP. So that's why that's still up there. But and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the gentleman was sick for a while, so that it put him up. So, but anyway, so okay. So, but well, yes, we did authorize.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to report that Gerard and I took care of our hog problem.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. All right. Tim and Tom, I think we're on the TWD, Texas Water Development Board.
Yes. Tom and I met, and we looked at the application for Clearwater grants and loans, and I got with Taylor to discuss it with him. And Taylor's been looking into it deeper. And he sent me an email that explains some of the stuff going on with how to apply, who can apply, what you're applying for. So Taylor, if you've got any updated information that you want to share, that'd be great.
Did you just turn that off? Okay. It's off.
Taylor and I traded emails
Okay.
last night and playing phone tag a little bit. This has been a little bit of a crazy week because all of my board meetings were canceled last week and moved to this week because of the freeze. But generally, I will tell you that Texas Water Development Board financing, a typical TWDB financing, is a deal where you work through an application process with the TWDB, and then you essentially sell bonds that they buy at a lower interest rate, right?
Okay.
Right.
And so when you do a deal like that, you just have to really take into account the time associated with the application and the process and that expense, and just kind of take that into consideration. So it's almost like there is a second application involved with the TWDB, and we've done plenty of those deals. And there are cases where they make sense, and then there are sometimes where our clients choose not to pursue them. The grant program is out there. My personal experience with it has been that TWDB staff is pretty, I get the impression that they have made representations to my clients that those grants might be easier to obtain, or the threshold might be more easily reached than I think that it ends up being when you really get into the application process. There are so many seriously financially disadvantaged water systems out there that that the bar is the financial hardship bar is high.
Right.
I don't want to say that it's not a valuable use of time or effort or energy, but I think that my recommendation would be to have a candid conversation with the TWDB early on in the process about the financial condition of the district and its ability to make repairs before pursuing a grant application like that in earnest. Because again, there are unfortunately so many water systems out there with little to no resources and no financial ability to address what I'll call major health and safety issues, right? I mean, you have water and wastewater systems that operate within permit, and and you have some cash in the bank. And obviously, the financial condition of the district has changed pretty significantly due to a lot of the repairs that have been made as of late. But it's not the extreme financial hardship that I think that unfortunately other public water systems are experiencing. So
sure.
Can I ask you, is their interest rate on their bonds any lower than what we're going to get now with the interest rates they are?
So I will say that generally it is viewed as lower. Warren, I don't know if you have the market it's been so crazy lately. It's very difficult to predict where things will be, a year from now. We're in historic, we've been looking at historic lows for months, and now I think there's some expectation that rates are I think they're starting to creep up. When you do a TWDB deal, you're essentially borrowing at their interest cost, right? So you're working with a better credit than you have. And so the rate, I would think, would always be lower. It's just a question of how much lower and whether or not that delta is is something that makes sense for you to pursue, because the biggest difference with the TWDB deal is really just time. It's definitely more work for the engineers, and it takes longer, but the interest rates are lower, and so that's, those are all just factors to consider. So that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I know Tom and I spent over 2.5 hours starting the application, and we were pulling out what hair we had, trying to, continue on with it, and we just kind of gave up on it.
Another thing to note is that those loan applications do go against your bond authorization amount. So you have to have bond authorization capacity to be able to do those. With the deadline for this future one being pushed to March 10th, you still wouldn't have your bond authorization amount to be able to really actively pursue it. It is definitely something we can consider going forward based off of what Davis says. Evaluate it a little more in depth. You do have some projects that could potentially qualify for the loans. The bar's set pretty high for those grants, as he said. But again, those are all things to consider in the meantime.
And Davis probably has a little more recent work with it than I have on the Water Development Board as far as getting some bonds from them. But I've had clients before who, yes, they got a better interest rate, but the annual reporting and the things that went along with it ended up exceeding the savings that they had on the interest rate. So that's just something to consider before you get into it.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus, we have to have the bond election approved, correct, before we can even do that. So
exactly right. They're effectively the buyer of your bonds.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they had a meeting today and they approved, I believe it was 257 million, and most of that was going into South Texas counties like Harlingen area down in there, or West Texas on the other side of San Antonio, small communities with little stuff. That's what most of them's been doing.
Yeah, but 257 million isn't much when you start talking about cities.
Yeah, but that was just first quarter. And they approved today.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Tom, did you find out? Did you sit in on the Lone Star or the San Jacinto River Authority meetings the other day?
Yeah, I've been listening to all of them, and quite honestly, I'm in a learning curve, to be honest.
Okay.
The Lone Star seems to be focused in the last meeting I was on the aquifers and the refill, what the ASRs are, those kind of things. They've got a lot of. Matter of fact, they had a webinar on it the other day. Again, they were focusing on South Texas down there, but that's what most of it's been so far. They also granted quite a bit of money too. The San Jacinto one, they just got a little, I believe, about $1.4 million in terms of a grant, if I'm not mistaken. I might not be right on the number, to study flood mitigation. And most of they're talking about damming 2 creeks, and I've been trying to figure out where they are. But one of them is, I believe it's Walnut Creek, and the other is Birch. And I think they're south of us. I believe they're below us. With the idea of damming them up to create, I guess, a slowdown of the water going on into Houston. So, but I've been trying to look on the map and find. I was hoping they were north of us, but
yeah, that could.
And they've also started with this last week. They've been hauling water all over the area. They're trying to help people
out. Okay, good. Okay, the only other thing I have in pending business is, and somebody else may have something, but the only thing I have is, Richard, what's the status of Jubal Early? Tired of looking at those bulldozers and that as I drive by in the porta potties.
Well, because of the weather instrument, they stopped construction, but they are supposed to be resuming Monday. And they're hoping within the next week The holdup right now is trying to get material. They can't get the pavement stuff because the plants are backlogged. But they're hoping that Monday they're going to start the final cleanup and the final grading, and then putting the pavement down, and they'll pretty much be completed.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other pending business? All right. Do I have a motion to, oh, wait, we have to set the date and time for the next meeting.
Next meeting, yes.
Same day of the March.
Yeah.
March
25th. March 25th.
Uh-huh.
Okay. 6:30 p.m. Okay. All right. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Do I have a second? Okay. See you guys on, oh, do we have to, I'll vote for that? Okay.
Yes.
Julie, aye.
Tim, aye.
Mark, aye.
All right. See you guys next month.
Thank
All right,
you.
Great
Everyone.
night.
Gerard,
Take care.
Julie and Gerard, I need to know when I can meet with you to sign off on the paperwork. And Julie, I need to sign checks.
Okay. I'll be at the office tomorrow after 11.
Okay, that'll
Okay.
work. Gerard,
Okay.
I need you to sign the minutes.
Next week, I'm all booked for tomorrow.
That's fine. No problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.